My question is to Amanda.
Good evening, absolutely good evening to everyone. Big John here, NHP UK TV live. It's Tuesday, the 28th of June. It's my birthday next week, 3rd of July. But anyway, after an absolutely epic Oldham Council meeting regarding child sexual exploitation, we had Andy Burnham in attendance. We had Chief Constable Bowen from Oldham in attendance, who's been the Oldham chief now for about 6 months or something, maybe a bit longer, 6 to 8 months. And this was after the change that Andy Burnham made to the police force and getting Chief Constable Watson in. The chief executive were there, and the council looked pretty full. They let in about 100 members of the public who were very noisy, well, extremely noisy and vocal, but, you know, what's happened to Oldham public? They've been branded liars, they've been branded racists, they've been branded bigots, yet everything that they said was true. And I hope Oldham people see the wider consequences of these kind of issues, whether you like our politics or not. Everything that we said was true. Everything we said about links to Oldham Council by Shabir Ahmed was true. Everything we said about the victims and stuff that had gone through was true. The only thing is, a report's done on one person, but it does mention at least 10 other people. I'm being told off one of the victims that 10 is nothing of such number. She's looking at, she said about 100 people, she said. That's what she said to me in Oldham. But the only figures we've heard is 10 and plus 1. That's all we've heard. As you would have seen last night, a member of the public did speak up about being abused in the 80s. A woman who must be in her 50s, abused in the 80s. A son went into care, came out, he'd been abused. That happens all the time, that yet it's not, you know, nothing ever gets said or nothing ever gets done. And kids in care are physically abused, sexually abused. It's just awful. I don't know nothing because I've never been in care, but I can only imagine what it's like. Only imagine. But anyway, I want to do a couple of clips. Evening, Roch. Yes, Nunca. A couple of quicks. First one is Debbie Barrett Cole. So Debbie was the one who first stood in the council chambers saying about child sexual exploitation, and then Labour leader Sean Fielding said it was all barefaced lies. That's what he said. But without further ado, let's just get her on. Let's just get...
My question is to Amanda Chatterton and every council member and official.
Right, enough of that rubbish. Right, come on. Here we go. Let's get it on.
Yeah.
Yes, Mum, let's get it on. So this is Debbie Barrett Cole, this, ladies and gentlemen.
Amanda Chatterton. My question is to Amanda Chatterton and every council member and official. For 3 years, the council stated that child sexual exploitation was birthdays lies and there was no grooming happening in Oldham. At the last full council meeting, the then leader, Ruth Shah, not only apologised for the grooming of the children of Oldham, but also confirmed that it was still happening. After I'd asked the question that he reported on Sky News and newspapers. Back on the 6th of November 2019, every council member from all parties bar one, Brian Orbey, walked out of these chambers rather than allow one question, even calling the police, wasting police time. It's now been confirmed that not only has Greater Manchester Police and Oldham Council covered up the grooming of the children of Oldham, but it looks like you've committed misconduct in a public office. Can the council leader please tell every resident in Oldham who will be held accountable for this travesty happening in our town, and explain why anyone should believe anything you say anymore from this council? Calling the government, have a full public criminal investigation for the children of our town.
So that was Debbie Barrett Cole, and you heard that, and it got mentioned a few times that Ruth Shah, the former leader, said that child sexual exploitation is still going on in Oldham. That's what she said. It got said by Debbie and at least 2 or 3 of the other councillors. But they were all branded and shouted down. Typical tactics. We know these tactics very well. When someone speaks out, they could be honest and truthful and factual, but they'll get politically correct words thrown at them. And that's what happened when it first got mentioned in the council chambers. Every councillor stood up and walked out, and except for one, but Brian Orbey, but all the other councillors walked out. So Councillor Sykes was on that panel at that time. Don't know if it was at that particular meeting. Abdul Jabbar, the second deputy, and all that. They just all walked out. The thing is, you can think you can pull the wool over our eyes all the time, but it's not going to work. These politically correct words aren't going to work. Oldham people are furious. We've known what's been going on all this time. We know that girls have been under threat and still under threat in Oldham, but we've been branded and called politically correct words. So new to the council, Councillor Barnes, and I did like Councillor Barnes' speech. Let me just get it up. So this is Robert Barnes. He took the seat in South Chatterton off Ruth Shah, who lost it by about 100 and some votes, and he took the seat. He has worked hard in South Chatterton, and I've seen him on social media, seen a lot of the stuff he's done, but he won. Obviously, I'm not a Tory fan overall, but I've got to look at who's in our town and who speaks well for our town. And Mr. Barnes speaks very well for Oldham, and he's a good local. I think he will end up being an exceptionally good local councillor. So that's Robert Barnes in South Chatterton. But I mean, don't get me wrong, South Chatterton's going to be hit by me when I run, when our party gets up and running. So he's going to have a fight on his hands to. Well, there's 3 seats anyway, so he could still have one, and so could my party. But anyway, that's Safe Chanton. Let's go on with his speech.
Councillor Barnes.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. And before I start, I'm going to address the bench. I have never seen such an unprofessional attitude from a senior officer of the council who has sat here most of the evening with a smug grin on his face. Not acceptable, Mr. Jones. Not acceptable at all. You answer to us. It is not the other way around. It's not acceptable at all. The assurance review into child sex exploitation has finally been published. It is a damning indictment of the failures of both Oldham Council and Greater Manchester Police. This review should not be the end of the matter. It should be the beginning. It simply is not good enough for apologies and mea culpas from the council leader and the chief constable and for scripted answers from the panel here tonight. Greater Manchester Police failed totally on numerous occasions. They failed to act and a victim was let down. What action did they take against officers who failed her? And if no action was taken, what will Greater Manchester Police do now to ensure those officers who failed her are held to account? Is it any wonder that Greater Manchester Police are in special measures? They've announced the launch of Operation Sherwood recently, but this only looks at a handful of cases. Can Greater Manchester Police give an assurance today that they will follow the evidence and open up new cases, including any criminal activity by those in public office? Madam Mayor, this assurance review's terms of reference were far too narrow and written by Oldham Council. How can this be seen as independent in any way? How can this be seen as sound and robust? This assurance review is nothing but a cover-up. It's a whitewash. It is not designed to shine sunlight on the failures of Oldham Council and Greater Manchester Police. Rather, it has been spun as a lessons learned review, and now Oldham Council expects all 60 elected members to toe their line and agree with it. No, no, no. Madam Mayor, I've never been a yes man, and I will not dance to the tune of the officers of this council and agree with the outcomes of this review. What we all want to see in the public gallery tonight, and those of us on this side, is justice for the victims of CSE and the grooming gangs. Now is the time for sunlight to be the best disinfectant. Now is the time for a public inquiry when this council does not set the terms of reference and that any time frame for such an inquiry is widened. Nothing should be left out. And if that means it uncovers hundreds or thousands of cases before CSE, then so be it. After all, it was admitted by the former council leader on March the 16th this year that grooming gangs are still operating in Oldham today. And then she instructed her Labour councillors, the majority of whom are in this room tonight, to vote down a motion to bring in a government. We are all corporate parents, and now is the time for all of us to stand up and be counted and say that the assurance review does not go far enough. And given that Shafir Ahmed worked for Oldham Council and this was suppressed by this council, of which Councillor Chaddock is now leader, including many staff beside her, will she now demand the resignation of Daddy's mate and support calls for a public inquiry into her disgraced council?
That was Robert Barnes, and speaking as a prospective.
Councillor Barnes.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. And before I start, I'm going to...
So that was Councillor Robert Barnes knew, and going on being a councillor myself, that was a well done speech. That he said in the speech that the inquiry isn't broad enough. It isn't. It's only done on one girl's story. That all that report is done on one girl's story, but it mentions another 10. I've already told you there's a lot more victims than that. He got all the necessary points in, and you did hear him say correctly, it's a cover-up and it's a whitewash. Now, I'm sure he never said whitewash on the fact that it's blamed white people like the government report done. But that's what we say when we have an inquiry or a report or something in front of us that just isn't thorough, that hasn't gone all the way through. We call it a whitewash. That's what we do. But I commend him. Certainly the best speech of the night. He got everything in. He got everything in about the police. He got everything in about lessons learned. We're not having that. He might as well. He could have said that this has been going on 60 years and we haven't learned nothing. That's what he could have said. But he said all this in his speech. And I have to commend Mr. Barnes for that speech. I have to go through it. Listen to it again. You can listen to it online. I'll put the link up. I'll put the link up to the original video. It's 3 hours long. You can fast forward it through. There's a lot of shouting, but you can hear him a lot clearer. And if you've got him on Facebook, he's put up the words that he said. He's put up the script to the meeting. So I'll put the video link up to the meeting. Don't forget political party here. Payment details are at the bottom. PayPal and bank details. 120 quid or something towards my leaflets. I need about 250. But the next time I get some money, I'm going to put it in and buy my leaflets anyway. But yeah, unbelievable, ladies and gentlemen. Absolutely unbelievable, that council meeting. So he said all the right things. The other councillors who spoke said some good things. And I think they're all in agreement. And you heard what he said there. We want an inquiry that's not done by people in Oldham or people connected to Manchester. What we want is an inquiry done by someone who's no links to the Labour Party and no links to central Manchester. That's what people were unhappy about, that the council did it themselves. It's just not good enough. All they did was one victim, when we know through the police records they've got at least 10. I'm being told it'll be 100. I'm sure if Billy PAGUK UK will be on, he would say the same. In Rochdale, 3 girls. That's gone to official reports in the paper say about 50, but they never said that at the beginning. That's what they never said at the beginning of 3 girls. It was 3 girls. They never said 50 victims, but it's 50 plus victims. You don't hear this. Is not in any newspaper. It's 50 plus victims. How do I know? Billy from PAGUK UK has talked to half of them. That's how I know. I was hoping to get him on tonight, but it was only short notice. But I'll probably get Billy on a bit regular. I support PAGUK UK. Does a really good job in Rochdale, and through Billy and the people who go to him is why extra people have been caught by the police and convicted. He's caught them like the paedophile gangs do. He's gone out and caught these pedos, and anyone who does that should earn our ultimate respect. Besides that, he has a shop in Rochdale. And his staff are trained up to talk to victims of all sorts of things, not just kids, adults, and all that lot. You can go to the shop, get some therapy and stuff like that. He had professional people come in to help victims and all that. And he's a doer. He's a doer, Billy, and he's done all this. You can go to the shop. I advise you to go to the shop. We've been down many a times. We've supported him and he's supported us. But I'll get him on a bit. But Daddy Shabir Ahmed, you see in the paper, ringleader of the Rochdale, he worked at Oldham Council. This guy's story goes a lot deeper than that. Stuff that I didn't know that is a lot deeper than just he worked for Oldham Council and stuff like that. There was one of the guys in the 3 girls scandal, he was one of the guys in the 3 girls scandal. Just let me try and find details. Also, last night, the council purposely split ethnic minority Muslims in one section and put everyone else in the other. And it wasn't Debbie, it was Debbie Barrett Cole pointing this out until they opened the door. So the council was already race baiting. This happened last night. There were 100 witnesses to this. And until Debbie said something, why are they over there? Then they opened the doors so that the 2 sections can mix. Honestly, you just couldn't make it up. This is Oldham Council, this. This is Oldham Council. And let me just see where... Yeah, GMC put it on. Last night, the council were race baiting, splitting us and the Asians up into different rooms until Debbie shouted out, asking why they are doing it. You know, that's our council. That's our council. But, you know, I don't hold too much ill feeling to that section of the community, but you need to wake up, guys. And you need to see what's going on. Our council is purposely dividing people. I've told you this. I've showed you. They're ignoring important social issues and letting them fester until we get people saying they're going to be rioting in Oldham again. That's what we've got to, because we've left these fundamentalist people to do what they want. A contact I have who to do with the council is telling me that I should be looking at unregistered and unregistered, illegal and legal faith schools. That's what they said. And any of you know me know that I've looked at a couple of issues, but my contact's saying it's a lot bigger than what you think, John. That's what my contact said to me. And I don't doubt it. I don't doubt it. So it'll be something to look into the future. But that's Oldham Council. Remember when it first came out called Barefaced Lies, then there was a social media attack on people like Debbie Cole to where she was going to stand to be a candidate but had to move out of Oldham because of death threats and threats of violence to her. And yeah, everything was true. It wasn't just true. It was worse than what everyone said. It's worse than what we was saying. It was worse, a lot worse than what I thought. And I thought I knew what I was talking about. But I mean, the 3 girls scandal, I'm good at picking things out in reports and newspaper reports. And when I read, when the scandal broke pre-2015, 2014 or 13, whenever it came out, I looked at the reports and I seen Oldham mentioned a lot, people who worked in Oldham. And pre-2015, I went uptown and showed people on my live stream shady shops above kebab houses and said that there's no way that they did not groom girls in Oldham or they did not come up to Oldham. They came up to Oldham. Now, it hasn't come out in the report that they definitely came to shops in Oldham. They never said that, but The links of the people to Oldham is unbelievable. Shabir Ahmad worked for the council for 18 years, and 3 of them years he was on welfare services dealing with children. So no matter where he was in Oldham. So I don't doubt that child sexual exploitation has gone on in where I said they're going on in them shady shops. And I mean, there is other evidence. We've got Guardian journalists saying about the she-seat bars and shops and things like that. Other people have said. So there is evidence out there that, you know, people were concerned about these things. But honestly, I just can't get over how politically correct the council is. Now, the deputy leader is Councillor Abdul Jabbar, 26 years in the coldest ward, which is now one of the poorest, most destitute, most politically correct, most anti-woman wards in the United Kingdom. But he didn't do a speech last night. I would have thought he might come up and do a speech. But what do we know? Shabir Ahmed was friends with lots of people in Oldham Council and Oldham community leaders. But none of them have spoken out against him. None of them have done an official speech. You would have thought last night, if that camera hadn't panned round, the Oldham Council were full of white people, because I didn't see, I only seen colour at the background, and when there were different angles, but from the angle for the main video, I did not see many people of colour. But there was there. I'm not saying they weren't, but there was on other angles. But so why didn't Councillor Jabbar come out and say something? Being deputy leader, OBE or MBE or something. That's his title. But never came out and said anything. I would be expecting, and I mean, there was people who spoke in the council who don't speak, who haven't spoken before. A new member got up and spoke. He was a bit tripping over his words, but, you know, he made the effort to speak, and I think a lot of people did. There were other council members who got up and did speeches, so they should. But, you know, apology isn't enough. I want to see convictions, in anyone to do with the council who signed any paper getting people in when they've been under investigation. I want convictions of why the police, when these checks are done on people, why the police didn't say that these people are sex offenders or they're being investigated for sex crimes. Obviously, it's political correctness and we're afraid of upsetting the minority. That's what it is, mainly in Oldham, but hopefully that's going to change. I think this is the last year of Labour rule in Oldham. I'm confident that you can see the map there and the other side. And see the map. I'm confident that that map there will be to under 30 seats, and then they will lose the majority in the council, which is a good thing, because everyone can start voting against their policies. You know, I mean, as a council, I've got issues with gender identity being taught to primary school kids. I know that Muslim community has issues with this, because remember, an activist, Ashraf Amam, who gets money off Oldham Council, whatever his name is, I might have said it wrong, said there could be riots in Oldham over sex education in school. So I know that Islamic people in the Muslim community do not want gender identity taught in schools. But they vote for the Labour Party, who are all pro-LGBT and all that lot. And Keir Starmer can't tell you the definition of a woman. It's unbelievable. It's absolutely unbelievable. Good evening, everyone. Arlene, Peter, Nunca, James, thank you for that comment. Billy had a talk with Sophie last night. Good stuff, good stuff. Well, Sophie is Sam. She's come out of her name now. Her name's Sam. Yeah, thank you for that comment about the race baiting. I've got told that. Thank you very much, James. You just couldn't, you won't believe it if we didn't have people showing you what happened. You know, you just wouldn't believe you. Well, the council would never do that. Well, that's what they did. Now, I don't know if that's because they was afraid that there might be attacks against these people. No. People in the public protesters were peaceful. There was nobody there looking to fight. We just want answers when we've been branded, called liars and everything. That's why they want answers. We're not, Oldham aren't going to stand for it no more. We're not going to stand to be called political correct names. You watch. We won't stand to be bullied. And as you heard Mr. Barnes, Councillor Barnes say, he's not a yes man, and neither am I. I like that. I really did like Councillor Barnes' speech. Go through it again. He's talked about every detail to do with what all the other questions were saying. He talked about the police. He talked about it not being fair enough because it's only done on one girl called Sam. He talked about the failures of not learning. We're not having this not learning front. He's pointed out that they were all doing scripted speeches to do with the thing. And, you know, if I was a council leader, I wouldn't have been doing scripted speeches. And it was a question and then a scripted speech as an answer back. Not a question like, is anyone going to get arrested? Yes or no. There were no, it wasn't like that. We asked the questions like that, but the answers we got back were scripted. I know the leader, Amanda Chatterton, would have had to have something like that. But, you know, we want better than that. We want better than that. This is why. And what else can I tell you about the report? That it's been rushed. It's been rushed. That's what one of the girls said to me, who's been interviewed by, or going to Sky News, and one going to the police. It's been rushed. She feels that it's been rushed, that these people were rushing. So that report isn't done properly. And hopefully that'll be going out. All I've told the two girls who contacted me after hearing that last night and Mr. Bowen going on, I told them to contact the police and go to the police and tell the police everything. If I can support them any further, I will. If not, I might send them to Billy or something like that. But they need to go to the police now. So I'll take on a tape what Billy might say. So the meeting last night, the chief constable was adamant that he will be following up investigations into any child sexual exploitation that gets reported. So if you're a victim, get in contact with somebody and get to the police station. If you're a victim now, do the same. Don't bother going to your teachers or anything like that. Get your mum and dad or your dad or whoever knows with you and get to that stinking police station. Let's get these investigations open. Don't think this is the beginning. Don't think this is the end. Don't think this is the beginning. We've won our piece. We're not bigots and politically correct names. We're not lying. We're not making stuff up. We've won that point now. Now, going forward, we want investigations to start. There was another woman who spoke at the council, 50-odd-year-old woman, who said she was abused from the 1980s and sent up the N62. So that sounds like she was going to Yorkshire or down, wherever. And so the police want to speak to her now, and she'll have to go through her case. But it's good news that people are just... This woman is not part of any group or anything. She went to Oldham Council because she knew that the meeting were on. They weren't going to let her speak, and it wasn't until the members of the public demanded that she got a time in. So the police are going to have a lot of work on their hands. And because the public are very aware of it now, it's not going to be so easy to brush under the carpet, believe me, it won't. These are how we get things rolling in a council. Next year, hopefully, the Labour will have they won't have the majority of the council. Then it'd be more democratic voting. That's what it'll end up. It won't be all their way. There's a lot of things going to go on. When I get into the council, I'm going to be going after schools, looking at what schools are teaching our kids, gender identity, Obviously, local issues, housing, crime and stuff. I'll be looking into it all, me. I'll be dipping my fingers in everything to get a piece of everything. But thank you very much. This is a Tuesday night broadcast, NHP UK TV. John Lawrence here. Epic council meeting last night. If you have not watched that video, you need to watch that video. Epic council meeting. The council got absolutely hammered all areas. You heard Debbie Barrett Cole. Everybody stood up in the council except for one person. They walked out when she first brought up child sexual exploitation in the council chambers. For too many years, the Labour Party have been branding people. They've branded the BNP as a cause of a lot of trouble in Oldham when it was Oldham Council's fault, not dealing with social housing, education, and integration into Oldham. And it was Oldham Council's fault from 30 years before 2000. So don't blame anybody who comes up here. Don't blame any other political party. It was Oldham Council's fault. That's absolutely record. If you want to, let's have a look for the Ritchie report. So, Guardian is saying this, 2002. Oldham Council went on the defensive yesterday when it questioned the methodology of the Ritchie report into writing in the time last year, which concluded that the authority had done little to challenge racial segregation in education and housing over 30 years. And of course, politically correct. So let's just get a copy of it up. I've put the link in the chat there for you. The Ritchie report, 2001. All the things that says. My dad told the council in the 90s they didn't do nothing. I said the same things now. They still don't do nothing. Loads of other people have said the same things, but they still don't do nothing. Still don't solve them issues. Why? Because they're politically correct and they don't want to upset minority communities. Well, I'm not saying we upset the minority communities, but you've got to get in line, guys, because otherwise we're never going to have a good time. We're never going to have jobs. We're just going to be more destitute and all that lot. And what's going to happen in a few years, you'll start seeing your kids coming out identifying as 100 genders. That's what's going to happen to Muslim kids in a few years' time. No matter what you try and do, that's what will happen. So you're never going to get away from that unless you join one of the nationalist parties. So join the NHP UK. That's what you need to do. We'll get rid of that. We'll get some cohesion going in the town. We'll start building houses. We'll stop selling houses, keeping the cash and not building. And that's what Oldham Council have done for years. They've sold properties, but not made another property, not built another house. That's what they've done. And look at the state of the country now through that and foreign ownership. So we need to stop people from China buying our properties, guys, ladies and gentlemen, black, white, pink, brown, or whoever you are. Otherwise, there's going to be no houses for our kids. I just don't get it, me. But anyway, this is Big John, NHP UK TV on a Tuesday, talking about Oldham child sexual exploitation meeting last night. And it was absolutely epic, guys. It was epic. I was jumping up and down on my seat for 3 hours, recording things. I couldn't stop shaking after that meeting. I'm glad. Well, I mean, I should have really gone in the meeting, but I had my mum with me, and I think that kind of environment, there was where the public was really narrow. I don't know if there would have been a room for a wheelchair, but I didn't want to put my mum in that kind of situation, too noisy for her. But I did a video outside the Queen Elizabeth Hall, and I talked about all the things I've talked about today. But anyway, I'm live on Thursday. I'm talking about Alexandra Park in Oldham. Again, I'm going to mention Billy again on Thursday, and I'll tell you why about Alexandra Park. I'll tell you why, but it's certainly one of the most dangerous public parks in a town, near a town centre in Greater Manchester. Moss Side, Alexandra Park in Moss Side can be bad, yeah, but particularly not as bad as Oldham Alexandra Park. But we'll go through that on Thursday. This is NHP UK TV. Bank details are at bottom. Please get in contact. If you want to help us out in any way, we're still looking to fund a website. We need equipment and stuff like that. So anything you put in, we'll go towards that. And again, you're putting into people who are doing things. By next year, just 2 of us would have run in 4 elections, and we're looking at gaining our first seat. And that's all in 1 year. That's just 1 year. I'm confident that we're going to expand. I'm off to Blackpool next week, and I'm going to be sitting down and having a chat with my mate Brian Parsonage, who seems interested in running as a candidate in Blackpool. But I'll talk to him next week, and hopefully by next year we'll have a couple of more people on the list running as candidates under our party flag. There's nothing else is up to debate. Everything is up for debate to do with our party, except for 2 things: ending permanent settlement immigration and exit the 1951 Refugee Convention. Them 2 are not debatable. Them aren't debatable. You've got to agree with them 2 things. We're also hosting our first official party, which will be in central London. We'll be in central London on the 11th of July. Get in contact with me through my email or anything, or Patrick, if you want to know more about the party. You're in the southeast or you're in the London area. Got Steve Laws speaking. We've got some nice people coming to watch the meeting, but me, Steve, and Patrick will be speaking. But yeah, it's in central London. So yeah, emails john.lawrence at nationalisingparty.uk, patrick.mcginnis at nationalisingparty.uk. Right, I'm going, ladies and gentlemen. I'll see you all Thursday. Don't remember, it's not the end, it's just the beginning. So congratulations to all the girls who are coming out speaking and saying stuff's happened to them. I'm just going to tell them to get to the police, me. If you need someone to escort you or you want to go in with someone out, I will obviously offer my services. But there is other people who are more trained up than me to do this sort of thing. Billy is one of them. And I've said to both the people who contacted me, I said, if you want to go further, you want to talk to someone, let's go and see Billy. So maybe they might end up going down, seeing Billy, getting some counselling, some talking to, or advice or whatever. But yeah, great stuff that people are coming forward, including that woman last night, over 50-year-old, coming forward. It sounds like she's had a terrible life. Her son were abused when he come out of care. And I hear this all the time, guys. I hear this all the time. And I don't doubt it's not real. It is real. With lots of evidence on this sort of thing. So, something needs to be done. But anyway, thank you very much, Big Johnny, your NHP UK TV, Tuesday, Oldham child sexual exploitation. Big up to everybody who went last night, Raja, all the rest of them. Raja's rabble, they say. Debbie Barrett-Cole, big respect to Robert Barnes, Horbin in the council. There was a few council people who said some good things, and I'm very impressed with Mr. Barnes. I definitely want to see that kind of character who's not a yes man. That's what I want to see on our council. That's what I want to see on our council, because all the people on the council are yes people. Yes, Labour. Yes, Labour. That's all they are. And he is not a yes man. Thank you very much, Councillor Barnes. And good evening, everyone. And I'll catch you up Thursday. Thank you.